What if the very place you feel safest is secretly sabotaging your biggest breakthroughs? We're often told to find our comfort zone, to seek stability, to settle down. But what if that advice is fundamentally flawed and actually prevents you from achieving true innovation? Get ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about success, because your comfort zone might be the ultimate innovation killer. We treat comfort as the goal of life. We work hard so we can relax. We build walls so we can be safe. We automate our lives so we don't have to think. But biologically and psychologically, the comfort zone is not a sanctuary. It is a slow-motion death sentence for your creativity. To understand why, we must look at the primary directive of the human brain: energy conservation. Your brain is a biological machine that consumes 20% of your body's energy. Its evolutionary goal is to be as efficient as possible. When you are in your comfort zone, your brain is running on autopilot. It is using existing neural pathways. It is relying on habits, heuristics, and muscle memory. It is not learning, it is predicting, and prediction is the enemy of innovation. Innovation, by definition, is the creation of something new. It is a deviation from the pattern. It is an error in the prediction. When you stay in the comfort zone, you are telling your brain, the world is solved. There are no new threats. There are no new problems. So, the brain stops producing the neurochemicals required for plasticity. It stops releasing acetylcholine, which marks neurons for change. It stops releasing dopamine, which drives exploration. You enter a state of homeostasis, biological balance. But in the realm of the mind, homeostasis is stagnation. Think of a muscle. If you never lift a weight heavier than a pencil, your muscles will atrophy. They will not stay the same. They will shrink. The mind follows the same rule. Use it or lose it. If you do not expose your mind to the friction of the unknown, to the stress of a new problem, your cognitive flexibility withers away. We see this in the trajectory of successful companies and successful people. They innovate, they take risks, they disrupt the market, and then they succeed. They build a headquarters, they create procedures, they hire managers to maintain the status quo. They enter the comfort zone of their own success. And that is the exact moment they begin to die, because they shift from exploration mode to exploitation mode. They stop looking for the new and start defending the old. This is the innovator's dilemma, but it applies to your soul. You build a life that is comfortable, a steady job, a routine, a set of opinions you never question. You think you have won the game, but you have actually built a gilded cage. Inside the cage, everything is predictable. Everything is safe, but nothing grows inside the cage. The comfort zone is a state of psychological safety carried to an extreme. We crave safety because our ancestors lived in a world of constant physical threat. But in the modern world, we have mistaken psychological discomfort for physical danger. We feel the same cortisol spike when we are asked to give a speech as when we see a lion. So we retreat. We avoid the speech. We avoid the difficult conversation. We avoid the new skill. We retreat into the comfort of what we already know. And in doing so, we kill the possibility of who we could become. We trade our potential for our security. But here is the dark truth about security. It is an illusion. The world is constantly changing. Technology changes, economies change, relationships change. If you are standing still in a comfort zone while the world moves forward, you are not safe. You are becoming obsolete. The comfort zone creates fragility. It makes you weak because you are never tested. The moment a real crisis hits, the person in the comfort zone shatters because they have not built the callus of the mind. Innovation requires a different state. It requires a state of optimal anxiety. It requires stepping out of the light of the known into the shadow of the unknown. It requires the willingness to be incompetent again, to be the fool, to be the beginner. The comfort zone whispers, "You are an expert here, stay here." The innovation zone screams, "You know nothing, learn." In the next block, we will explore the neuroscience of stress and performance. We will look at the Yerkes-Dodson Law and why a certain amount of pain is necessary for genius. And we will discover why your best ideas are waiting for you on the other side of fear. If comfort is the killer, then what is the creator? The answer is friction. We spend our lives trying to remove friction. We want seamless apps, easy relationships, fast food. But friction is the spark that lights the fire of innovation. Psychologists have studied the relationship between pressure and performance for over a century. This is known as the Yerkes-Dodson Law. Imagine a bell curve. On the left side, you have low arousal, low stress. This is the comfort zone. Performance here is low because there is no urgency. There is no reason to adapt. This is the zone of boredom and apathy. On the far right side, you have extreme arousal, panic, terror. Performance here crashes because the brain is hijacked by the survival instinct. You cannot innovate when you are running for your life. But in the middle, at the top of the curve, there is the zone of optimal anxiety. Some call it eustress, good stress. This is the sweet spot. It is the state where you are just slightly out of your depth, where the challenge is just barely manageable, where you have to stretch to reach the goal. In this zone, the brain wakes up. It releases noradrenaline, which creates alertness. It releases acetylcholine, which creates focus. It puts the brain into a state of high beta waves. You are alert. You are engaged. You are alive. This is where innovation happens. It happens when the old solution doesn't work anymore, and the pressure is on to find a new one. Necessity is the mother of invention. Comfort is the mother of stagnation. Think about the concept of antifragility, coined by Nassim Taleb. A fragile object breaks under stress. A glass vase is fragile. A robust object resists stress. A rock is robust. An anti-fragile object gets stronger under stress. The human immune system is anti-fragile. It needs exposure to germs to learn and get stronger. Your muscles are anti-fragile. They need the trauma of lifting weights to grow. Your creative mind is anti-fragile. It needs the shock of the new. It needs the resistance of a difficult problem. When you stay in the comfort zone, you deny your mind the stress it needs to evolve. You become fragile. Innovation is also physically painful. When you are trying to learn a hard concept or solve a complex puzzle, you feel a physical sensation of frustration. It feels like a headache. It feels like agitation. Most people interpret this feeling as, "I am not good at this. I should stop." They retreat to the comfort zone. But neurobiology tells us that this feeling of agitation is the chemical signature of learning. It is the feeling of neurons trying to forge new connections. It is the feeling of the brain restructuring itself. If you quit when it hurts, you quit before the breakthrough. You must learn to reframe this friction. The agitation is not a stop sign. It is a growing pain. It means you are pushing against the boundaries of your current capacity. This brings us to the zone of proximal development. You should always be working on problems that are just slightly beyond your current ability. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. You are in a comfort zone. You need to be in a room where you are the least knowledgeable person, where you feel slightly inadequate. That feeling of inadequacy is the fuel for growth. It forces you to listen, to observe, to synthesize new information. The comfort zone relies on crystallized intelligence. This is the knowledge you have already accumulated. Facts, figures, experience. It is useful, but it is static. Innovation relies on fluid intelligence. This is the ability to solve novel problems, to see patterns in chaos, to adapt. Fluid intelligence thrives on variety and novelty. If you do the same thing every day, your fluid intelligence drops. You become rigid. You become the old dog who cannot learn new tricks, not because of age, but because of habit. We must also talk about the fear of failure. The comfort zone is a fortress built to keep failure out. Inside the zone, you know you will succeed because you are doing what you have always done. But innovation requires a high failure rate. If you are not failing, you are not innovating. You are just executing. In Silicon Valley, they have a mantra: fail fast, fail often. But in our personal lives, we treat failure as a character defect. We hide our mistakes. We stick to the safe path so we never look foolish. But the fool is the precursor to the master. You must be willing to be the fool. You must be willing to try a new method and have it blow up in your face. Because in the ashes of that failure, you find the data point that leads to the breakthrough. The comfort zone protects your ego. The innovation zone destroys your ego to build something better. You have to choose what you want to protect, your image or your potential. In the final block, we will discuss the exit strategy. How do you practically leave the comfort zone without panicking? We will look at the concept of systematic discomfort and how to build a lifestyle that prioritizes growth over safety. The door is open, but you have to step out into the cold. So how do we escape the gilded cage? We do not do it by burning down our lives overnight. That leads to the panic zone, not the innovation zone. We do it through systematic discomfort. We must microdose stress into our lives. We must train the courage muscle daily, in small ways, so it is ready for the big leaps. Start with your environment. If your environment is perfectly predicted and controlled, introduce chaos. Take a different route to work. Rearrange your office. Travel to a place where you do not speak the language. These small disruptions force the brain out of autopilot. They force you to pay attention. When the brain pays attention, it sees new things. It makes new connections. This is the seed of innovation. Next, practice social discomfort. The comfort zone is often a social bubble. We talk to the same people who agree with us and reinforce our worldview. Deliberately seek out conversations with people who confuse you, people who disagree with you, people from different generations and backgrounds. The friction of conflicting ideas is the primary generator of innovation. It creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain hates dissonance. It wants to resolve it, and to resolve it, it has to create a new higher-level idea that integrates the conflict. This is Hegelian dialectic. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. You cannot reach synthesis, innovation, if you only listen to the thesis, comfort. Then adopt the practice of beginner's mind, Shoshin. Pick a skill you are terrible at. If you are an intellectual, take a dance class. If you are an athlete, take a painting class. Force yourself to be clumsy. Force yourself to feel the humility of not knowing. This resets your neuroplasticity. It reminds your brain how to learn, and often the insights you gain from being a beginner in one field will trigger a massive breakthrough in your area of expertise. Cross-pollination is the secret of geniuses. They do not stay in one lane, they wander. We must also redefine our relationship with fear. In the comfort zone, fear is a stop sign. Don't go there, it's scary. In the innovation zone, fear is a go signal. Stephen Pressfield in The War of Art says, "The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it." Fear indicates importance. Fear indicates that you are approaching a boundary that needs to be crossed. When you feel that tightness in your chest, lean into it. That is the sensation of your world expanding. In the comfort zone, we wait until we are 100% ready. We wait for perfect information, perfect skills, perfect timing. But 100% readiness is a myth. By the time you are 100% ready, the opportunity has passed. Innovators move when they are 70% ready. They launch before it is perfect. They speak before the speech is fully polished. They trust that they will figure out the remaining 30% in the arena. This builds self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle whatever happens. The comfort zone teaches you that you are only safe if everything is controlled. The innovation zone teaches you that you are safe because you are capable of adapting. Real safety does not come from the walls around you. It comes from the skills within you. The ultimate innovation is the reinvention of the self. To stay in the comfort zone is to agree to be the same person forever. It is a form of suicide. It is the suicide of possibility. To leave the comfort zone is to agree to die and be reborn over and over again. It is exhausting. It is terrifying. But it is the only way to feel truly alive. Look at your life today. Where are you too comfortable? Where are you coasting? Where are you bored? That boredom is a warning siren. It is telling you that the walls of your cage are closing in. You have a choice. You can stay safe and slowly fade away, or you can step out into the wilderness. The wilderness is where the danger is, but the wilderness is also where the gold is. The wilderness is where you are waiting for you. Don't settle for safety. Safety is for the dead. Innovation is for the living. Break the cage.